Let's talk about the Bob's Burgers movie. I will be honest here. I have seen some episodes of Bob's Burgers. The most episodes I watched in this season was season 1, since I did start watching Bob's Burgers on Disney Plus. And, well, I didn't mind season 1, even though people kind of find it the weakest of the bunch. But it kept on getting better and better with the other seasons that started to become a quite of a cult following. And most of the time, these moments in these episodes can be quite hilarious. So that wraps us up with the next star of Bob's Burgers, which is the Bob's Burgers movie in theaters, which I have not seen, so instead I watch it on Disney Plus since I again got the chance to see it. And I did had some hopes for this film. So now that we're looking into the Bob's Burgers movie, will this be more of a success, as not as much of a success than the box office, or is this movie feel like a sinkhole in the first place? Also, there's gonna be a new system on how I talk about my review of these kind of films. I'll be starting off with the good stuff in about the bad films, and then I'll move on to the bad stuff. While in the good films, I start off with bad stuff and then say what the good stuff then after the bad stuff. So in the Bob's Burgers movie, what was the stuff I wasn't a big fan of? Well, I wasn't really of a big fan of the side plots. I mean, yeah, sure, Bob's and Linda's side plot was one thing, and it is still pretty good of a somewhat neat side story in the first place. The others, for Gina and Tina, aren't really special since, yeah, they do actually get mentioned sometimes later in the film, but they actually get the chance to go on their own mission in the end, and it just feels predictable. And another thing I wasn't a big fan of is that some of the characters don't have much purpose throughout this film. I mean, sure, there's the Belchers who do have some nice something going with it, but the others don't really catch my interest. And some of the musical numbers in this film, I mean, yeah, there was some good stuff, of which I'll get to later. But then, there were the other ones that appear late in the film, and they just don't feel like they're actual musical numbers since they keep on getting interrupted, and they're not really my type of songs I would listen to. And we moved on to the good stuff. Another thing I wasn't a big fan of is that the animation is still at that TV quality. But I won't it's not exactly at that full TV quality since it did have a bit of an upgrade, which I will talk about later. But for now, it is still at that kind of level. And now moving on to the stuff I dislike. I will say that the story is quite well written, even if the murder mystery can be quite effective and pretty unpredictable too. So I will give the film that it's not like other murder mystery films where it is predictable to guess what will actually happen. And, and I like how the story itself can be emotional and does have a lot of heart to put into it, especially with the Belchers. And another thing I like to add about this film is that how the comedy is so funny. There was quite a lot of jokes that I actually did find hilarious and quite give me more of a chuckle when up to a laugh. And the animation, as I said earlier on, had a big upgrade with the character designs do stay true to how they always looked before, which I will give them that. It still the animation still looks colorful, and the backgrounds are still detailed and do stay true to the Bob Burger style they always looked like before. And I think there was some bit of CGI in the film, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. It did seem like they had some CGI moments, but the character animation was a big improvement, especially when the musical numbers was to represent the movements in the musical numbers or in action scenes, which they do set up an excellent climax. And even the Belchers do have their own unique their own thing of what they're doing, and how Bob and Linda are trying to get in more money so they won't go bankrupt and lose their Bob's Burgers restaurant, or even for the kids trying to figure out the murderer. And it does bring up some nice emotional moments. And even the characters do stay true that they always look how they always act like before. And and I do actually like how it does represent on what Louise's hair is, or what she's hiding with those bunny ears of her. Uh, but moving on to the musical numbers, there were some quite good ones. Like with Sunny Side Up Summer, which it does explain what the characters are going through, with some excellent voice acting too, going into the characters and some of the singing that they did. And I did like Lucky Ducks, not by the song, but the character animation is what makes this musical number actually does stand out with some creative movements in the animation. Oh my god, it's cool, good. So yeah, those are the stuff I liked. And now moving on to my final thought. The Bob's Burgers movie is a fun animated film with you can have some quirks like some songs that doesn't feel like a song at all, or some side plots that don't go anywhere, to be honest. But it really does go with it some real writing with an engaging story, some emotional scenes that does give the film a lot of heart. A big improvement on the animation, the characters being the same as they always be, which they still have some enjoyable personalities as the original selves, and the actors having some good talents, and some of the songs are kind of a catchiness that actually does make me want to vibe to them. I know it's not as best as the Simpsons movie or the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, but at least it is still good enough, even though it is kind of a box office bomb. But at least I can say is that had a blast with the Bob's Burgers movie, and I can say that this was their big improvement. And that's why I'm giving this the seal of good.